Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aging and Spirituality podcast, where we're here to talk about realizing your potential, that which is inside of you that hasn't been discovered yet. We're all about it. So I'm Kathy Lee Taylor.
And I'm Chris Jensen.
And today we're going to discuss something I've been working with lately, and that is looking at the things that we do. Why do we do the things that we do? And oftentimes in the last little while for me, I'll do things that I have regrets about. And so I got wondering, how often have you been in a situation when you've reacted spontaneously from what's going on inside of you, and then you wonder, why did I do that? Like I mean, I bring up tennis a lot, but this is an area where it comes flying out of me, because the inner competitor in me was drilled into me at a very young age, and we'll be saying tennis and somebody will say something like the other day, a ball got hit and it was a line call of some kind, and I said something just really snarky. And then I stood there going, God, Kathy, like it's just not that important. It's more important for me to be kind. So I always have, the little good angel on my shoulder watching.
I love that.
And she's going, that wasn't very nice.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You do what's in your consciousness, and it just kind of comes flying out, and then you regret it. So, and life is like that. You get challenges on a daily basis, and we respond automatically to it. And what it does is it shows you what's going on inside. And this is the point that I really want to talk about today, as to how to look at what's going on inside and up level that content so that what comes out of you is a better response, a kinder response, a more loving response. So that is one of my spiritual goals. I want to prioritize kindness. I want to prioritize being sourced from love, so that I can, my daily efforts make me feel like I'm not only just improving myself, but I'm helping the world. And that really is, one of the bottom line things for my particular growth. I'm hoping there are some of our listeners that feel the same way. They're working on themselves to be better human beings, to reach their potential, to, be a better influence and leave a better legacy in the world. So
the more we improve ourselves, the more it affects everyone around us.
everyone, that's for sure. So one of the first steps to being able to do this process is to really take a look at, be aware. Your awareness comes first. So oftentimes, like I said, you'll be going through the day and you'll get challenges, and all of a sudden you'll stop and you go, why did I do that? And and it's kind of your soul whispering at you, like, look at some of these old beliefs. Look at the way you're habitually responding to people or to the world or to situations that come up, and realize that they're really not serving you anymore. They may be ways that you used to act. Like I said, when I was a kid, I was very competitive, but it doesn't belong in my world anymore. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. There's no way that I can't prioritize being kind no matter what's going on. So when you stop and you have that awareness of what's happening in that particular moment, you can then make the choice to create a way to be different in, the same situation. So you can source from love instead. So I'm standing on the court, and instead of worried about a certain line call, you just let it go, just it's not that important. So, okay, so you're asking yourself, what is it inside me that's creating the conditions that are outside of me? Because that's really how it works. Your consciousness is basically expressing in a way that's creating what's happening around you, right? So, for example, if you feel, take a look at how you feel during the day. Are you angry? If you're triggered, like, okay, so for example, I'll give you another example. I'm in an online writing group, and I had reached out to one of the hosts of the writing group to ask them a question about something that I was doing, because I'm learning from this community of people about how to do online digital content, social media, that kind of stuff. And his response to me was to basically shame me for not doing iterations and not putting enough work in. And that was like, oh gosh, I know myself enough to know that I'm working hard. I know it just wasn't true, what he said. He hadn't taken the time to take a look at what I'd done. He
Carol.
wasn't giving feedback that was helpful. And even if he had, he didn't take the minute to just go, okay, what is it she needs here, and
Yeah.
help her to the next place, which in my mind, that's what a community is supposed to be doing anyway. So, my first response was, ugh, I wanted to be angry about it.
Yeah.
I just stopped for a moment, and I said, okay, maybe this is just his management style. He's a young guy, so a certain level of arrogance that is there. So I just started with, first of all, just doing a short process of, okay, I forgive you for being a dick.
Hmm.
That kind of helped me. I mean, it's not eloquent, but it kind of helped me let go of it, in the moment, so that I didn't have to get angry and respond back. But, once I was able to take a step back and get into the witness perspective and see clearly why he was doing what he did because of who he is and his age and, all of that stuff, it was easier for me to say, okay, he is who he is. I am who I am. This obviously is not a great, a working relationship or teaching relationship. He's, not the best teacher for me. But, you know, what I was able to not do is have to hit back. So that's how I changed that given situation, by being aware of what was going on inside of me instead of being butthurt, feeling like I had to, go online and slam him or do something like that.
Right.
I just didn't do it, right? I chose to be kind to myself and not get upset about it, and kind to him by not, tell him what I really thought.
Well, but this is the thing. This
Yeah.
is, we have that choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
At some
know,
point I might, and at some point there may be a chance or an opportunity to actually have that conversation. And at that point I'll be way distanced enough to be able to say, way you handled that could have been better, and if I had done it in the moment, it wouldn't have sounded like that. It would it would have been a lot angrier. So the thing is, what we have to realize is that there are triggers that come up, and what they are tied to are experiences that are basically buried inside of us. Some of them have painful roots. Some of them are, holding trauma that we've held on to in our bodies over the childhood years that we've experienced and haven't let go of. I call them like energy knots, like and sometimes the soul wants you to get rid of them. Sometimes there's an energy knot in there that you're trying to get past and it's standing in your way. So soul will bring it up so you can look at it and you can release it. It is actually really good for you to take a look at that stuff and be able to let go of it. So when you're examining the content of your mind, you can call this your unconscious mind, your subjective mind. You want to ask kind of questions like, what am I thinking and feeling inside on a regular basis during the day? What are the thoughts and the beliefs that are happening automatically, that you don't even question? They're just triggering you all the time. And then you want to look at what's working for me and what is not working for me anymore. Like, how do you feel about the life that you're living? If there's rough spots in there, then this is the place that you can change them, is taking a look at this conscious process and changing how you respond. You want to really identify what the inner flow of those thoughts and feelings are that are dominating your consciousness on a regular basis. So, okay, so hear this part really clearly. Your inner state is what you live in and from. It's why you do what you say you do. So, going back to the title of my talk, why do we do the things that we do? Why do we say the things that we say? Because your inner state is what determines that. It's what you live in and what you live from. It's why you do what you do and say what you say. So that's what this whole talk about today is understanding, being aware, and being in the word response charge of what your responses are to the world, because that's definitely within your control, within your power. So if you're someone that's take a look in, if you're critical and you're judging and you're condemning, or maybe you're spending way too much time feeling jealous, or you feel unloved, or you feel unlovable, or or you hear yourself calling yourself stupid. Or you feel like you're worthy or you're not worthy, you know, those are all things. Sorry, got something in my eye there. Those are all things that are going on in your state of consciousness, you know. So when you're doing this process, this what I'm talking about here, these taking a look, asking these questions, take some notes, because really that quality of your life is a direct result of the quality of your consciousness. You want to be aware of what's going on in there, because then you have a chance to change it. So how do you do?
I think the key is awareness. You know, most of the time we just go along with whatever's in there and we don't pay any attention to it.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to defend yourself, you know, which is just like stupid on top of stupid, you know. It's just a waste of time, you know. So okay, so now you're becoming aware where the knots are, where you want to up level your consciousness and move from a different level, a higher level of energy, really is how it works. You want to release the old and you want to invite in a new way of being at this point, right? So, you know, instead of the mind becoming addicted to certain ways of thinking and certain ways of reacting, that's really what happens when you have a habit or a pattern. Is kind of like an addiction, right? It's like you just keep doing the same damn thing over and over again without any consciousness going into it. So these are perceptions that are wrong that we carry with us. And, you know, we want to change those. We want to let go of those, and we want to welcome in a new way of being so we can release these old addictions and the things that they make us do. Like, because we have these habits, we do things that we regret, that we, you know, really are sorry for, that we end up apologizing for. It's not a great way of living. So, you know, again, take a look. If you're feeling these things like anger and fear and arrogance and um, those kinds of negative emotions, it's time to let them go. In fact, the sooner the better. The quality of life, your life will be so much better when you let those things go. So, okay, it may, I mean, you know, I just want to say as a caveat, I know it kind of feels scary sometimes to identify these old behaviors, but trust me when I say when you let them go, your life will be so much better for it. So, okay. Here's a way to invite in the new. So
Ready?
I'm thinking you're not too worried about things that you have, but I like that you're going to play with me. So okay, so say you've identified an area of anger, which, you know, I was holding on to that towards this person who was not a teacher that I was to coach me, you know, and it's like but I let go of it. But here's how to do that. Okay, you can literally identify what it is that you're working on: anger, arrogance, fear, whatever it is that you want to let go. And then you mentally say, I give this old response to you. So I give it up to you. I don't need it anymore. Just saying those words, I can feel my heart open and spirit rush in. Literally, emotionally, I can feel it. So, you know, don't worry about, at this point, don't worry about creating a new habit. Okay, just be open and receptive to a new way of being. For now, you're just asking the source of love to show you the way. Okay, so I give up this old response. I give up my anchor, Lord. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to feel unworthy anymore. I don't want to live in fear anymore. So I don't need it. Please show me the way to love. Show me the way to live in love. So again, it can be sometimes you could say something like this: I release the need to feel anger to protect myself. You can get very specific if you need to. I always release my desire to be right, which fuels my arrogance. That's a good one to remember.
Yes, it is.
So many of us are arrogant in ways that we don't even recognize it. You know, I always release my desire to be right because that fuels my arrogance. So if you're even thinking right and wrong, you're not in soul, you're not in the right expression. Release it right at that moment. Offer it up. Or I'm done entertaining fear on any level and I want to live in love. This is a big one. You know, fear is a real big one. If you're not in love, you're in fear, and it can disguise itself in so many ways. The ego is a tricky, nonsense little character, and it can disguise fear in crazy, crazy ways. And it's usually unique to who you are and your experiences in life. So just be aware of it. If you're feeling fear on any level, ask your soul to get into love. How do I get into love? I want to release this fear, Lord. Just let me get into love. So, okay, just remember it can feel a lot like work. It's an effort. You have to do the work. This is the spiritual work. Just remember that. And the only other thing that I wanted to say about this particular process is that, you know, yogis talk about the three forces of nature, and this is something that Chris teaches. The nature of the forces are called gunas, tamas, rajas, and sattvas. So maybe at some point we'll have Chris do a whole talk on just the gunas, and that would be really powerful, because you can learn how those forces of nature actually apply to your life and which one
You're
you
just around. Mhm.
yeah, and you can find out which one you're living in, you know, a lot of the time. And she has great ways to help you get into what we call sattvas guna, which when you're in sattvas guna, which is again, it's a term that comes from yoga. It means that you're experiencing harmony with yourself, others, and with the universe, right? So, and there are ways to get into sattvas guna. So for example, what we teach in yoga is you do hatha yoga postures to shed the tension in the turbulence. That will get you into a more balanced and harmonic state. That will point you towards sattvas. That will point you to a much sweeter way of living in an energy that is really positive, in a place where you're not going to have the kind of triggers that you're dealing with on a daily basis now. You can invite that loving force, which is what the sattvas is. It's pure love, spiritual, divine love. And you'll see it reflected in your life when you start feeling, again, harmony, balance, well-being. You feel like you're accepting your life. You feel like you're delighting in your life. When's the last time you were just so delightful about what's going on in your life? When you practice yoga, you can feel delightful about your life on a daily basis. So, you know, if you're ever getting in that place where you're feeling like this is hard work, well, just remember that's the end of the path. Pure delight in being in an amazing, harmonic, balanced state. So, and when you start doing acts of kindness to other people, just automatically, you know, you're going in the direction of sattvas. You're going in that sattvic force of nature. So those are indicators, great things to pay attention to. If you're experiencing those, you're on the right path. So, oh boy. Okay, so as I said before, it is an effort. You have to learn to do it. You have to practice it, but it's the most amazing practices you'll ever do. I can tell you that really doing this kind of spiritual work that we're talking about today has been the most fulfilling stuff I've ever done. And it will take you to a place that will enrich and fulfill your life in a way that you can't even imagine right now. So maybe at some point we'll have you do an exercise that'll take them into that sattvic mood, maybe next week. So tune in again. I hope you enjoy,
And this
listeners.
is something you can do yourself anywhere. You know, you don't have to be somewhere. You don't have to pay somebody. You
Yep.
can do it.
This is the work that it takes to be on the spiritual path. So, you
Right.
know, save this tape. Listen to it when you're in those places where you're struggling and getting triggered. And just remember, release, give up, be open to a new way of being, inviting in that sattvic, beautiful nature. Okay?
All right.
You're showing up. See you next week.
Thank you guys for coming.